Hello, it's Bookish Talk. Today our guest is Hannah Brown, a bookbinder from United Kingdom. Hannah, hi.
Hi.
And well, I'm Stepan, and my co-host is Pavel. He joins us from Moscow. Pavel, hi.
Hi, everyone.
So I guess let's start right away.
My background is in crafts, so I did a crafts degree in Brighton, so I learned how to make things. So it was wood, metal, ceramics and plastics. So we learned those four skills, and then I had to specialize. So I did metal and ceramics ultimately for my degree show. And it was while in my last year at Brighton University, I learned that there were bookbinding evening classes. So I started doing them, not with a view to sort of be a bookbinder, but I really enjoyed it and kept it on. So I would really call myself a bookbinder and a bookbinder, not an embroiderer. It just so happens that I embroider on my books, really.
Is it difficult to embroider on leather?
No, not really. I mean, bookbinding leather obviously is generally fairly thin. You know, it's what, sort of 1 mil probably that I'm generally sewing through. Some's more tough than others. I think I've probably got quite tough fingers now as a result of doing it. But for this particular binding, actually for lines, which I don't always do, but because there was a lot of linear embroidery work, I used my sewing machine to do a lot of the initial linear sort of outlines, and then just to, well, A, help my fingers, and B, because you know it's easy to do a single line on a sewing machine. And then I whipped, so I had a line of stitches from the sewing machine, and then I hand whipped around the top. You can sort of see in one of the images on the blog post, probably a bit closer what that means. So it just seemed sensible for me to sort of combine.
Do you have any of your books in any public collections?
So I have one in the British Library, and there's one in the Boston, I always say it wrong, Athenaeum.
Athenaeum.
Yeah.
All the rest are private collections, I think. I can't think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're the only two in public collections.
Are there many bindings you made that you keep for yourself?
No, I mean, I guess that's why I have my sample boards. I mean, some of the little sample boards I've made are actual books, you know, little mini books. So no, I don't feel, well, I don't have extra time to make stuff for myself, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If I did, it would be nice. But at the moment, if I get any time, it's working through sort of commission work that I've got on that needs doing. So maybe in the future, I'll get some more time to do stuff for me. Well, actually, speaking of which, I got married in 2013. Still don't have a photograph album. I always said I'd make one for us, and obviously that hasn't happened yet. That's probably the first thing I ought to do. Print out all the photographs. We haven't got anything to put them in yet.
Yeah. Can you just clarify a bit for our listeners who don't know what the board is, what it is for, what's its use? And
so the board is very much a decorative object. I mean, for me personally, it's something I do anyway for my binding. So for each of the bindings I do, I make a sample board. So for example, I can show it now. I made a little one for the Tintin Abbey book.
So that's interesting. So it looks like a part of a design.
Exactly. It's for me, it's a section of the design of the book that I'm going to be doing. They're all the same size, so I can test out colors and design and have a snapshot of it. So I can show the client if they wish to see it during the making process, or I then have a sort of visual record of everything I've done. Because although it's great to have photographs, I quite like having an actual physical record.
And you told earlier that you prefer to implement floral motifs in your bindings, but in this board we definitely see a floral motif, and there are definitely some floral motifs in architecture as well. So
yeah, quite. So for me, that's the purpose of the boards for the Designer Bookbinders project. It was so there's a sort of a snapshot of the binders who participated, sort of the work of contemporary binders at the moment, and people's different interpretations of the same theme. So that was the idea behind the architecture and bookbinding project.
I wanted to ask a bit more about those books that are in public collections. What does it actually mean in practice? That they are stored somewhere in a library and anybody can get it? Or do they use it for exhibitions? Do they display it in any way?
I don't believe they've displayed the books. I mean, I don't know for sure. I think it's more, that they're in the public collection and they'll be in the catalogue of the public collection. So should anyone want to view it, I guess they can book an appointment to go and see it. I mean, when I worked at the Victoria and Albert Museum, obviously it houses the National Art Library. And all the time there, I thought, I should arrange to go and see some books, and then just didn't do it. And now I totally regret the fact that I sort of wasted all that time, never really went to actually see anything.
And how does that process, the process of selection of contemporary bindings work? Is there a panel, or is it individual to particular institutions? I mean, who selected your books, and how were books selected at V&A?
So the British Library binding, this was a number of years ago now, was bought by, I guess, a librarian or a curator from the British Library that went along to one of the Designer Bookbinders exhibitions, selling exhibitions, and it was purchased. They may have purchased, 2 or 3. I guess they're given a budget each year to purchase contemporary bindings. The one that's at the in Boston, it was actually a commission from a book dealer who then sold it. It may well have been through a book fair to the Boston Athenaeum. That's the right way to say it, I think. So I believe they're the ways that my 2 bindings made it into public collections. I would think they're probably fairly standard ways, and that institutions have a budget each year perhaps to buy certain different maybe contemporary bindings or sort of older bindings, antiquarian bindings.
And what about V&A? Do you know anything about the process there? Were you involved somehow?
No, I mean, I wasn't involved in with the National Art Library. It's just sort of housed in there. I mean, I believe I still know some people who work there, but I'm not exactly sure of their process of how they actually buy in or choose whose books they want in.
It would be really nice if you could give us any contacts, introduce us, because this process fascinates me, because this is how the future will see what bookbinding can do now. We're also interested in their work because we know they collaborated with the apprenticeship program at the Royal Bindery.
Yeah, sure.
Which is also a thing that fascinates me. Shame on what happened to it, but I think we need to talk about it and celebrate for what it did.
Yeah.
Do you have apprentices, by the way?
No, I don't. But, in all seriousness, with having a much better space and feeling more professional through having a better space and, actually being able to have my equipment in the room, it would be something I would consider. I think I would have to feel like I had a bit more time in order. At the moment, I barely have time to do my own stuff, let alone find something for other people to do, because you have to be involved, don't you? If you've got an apprentice, you have to show them what to do as well. So I would be willing, but we're probably talking a couple of years or so. me to get sorted first. Too much to juggle at the moment with young children, building work, and need to catch up with myself first.
We will definitely be glad if you invite us for another talk when you move into your new workshop and show us around.
Well, the good thing actually about the new workshop as well is because we have a sort of annex part of our house which we do Airbnb in. So I'm thinking that once I'm set up in there, I could do some sort of residential courses and invite different people to come and teach, because we can accommodate everyone as well. So I just thought that might be quite a nice thing to think about down the line, with guest tutors. And I mean, obviously I can teach one too, but it would mean you could do, at the moment I have 2 students that come, obviously not at the moment because it's lockdown, just a couple of hours a week, which is fine, but I could sort of broaden my teaching possibilities with the new space, which is good.
Yeah, that sounds really nice.
One more thing, what are the projects that excite you at the moment? What are you working on? What are you looking forward to?
If you can tell us some details, because sometimes.
Well, I am working on a binding of a Terry Pratchett book at the moment, which is very different to what I'm used to. So think dragons and dragon scales and stuff. So that's quite sort of off sort of what I would usually do, but quite an exciting challenge because it's different. And then I plan to enter the Designer Bookbinders International competition. So I think I've got a book in mind for that. And although the sort of hand in dates later in the summer, I feel I really need to start it now, or else it won't get cut.
Yeah.
So that would be more for me, because it's sort of something a book I've chosen and a subject matter that I quite like. Plus I have a little miniature actually to do as well. So sort of going from big to small. And they're the main things. They're the things that have probably got the closest deadlines at the moment that I need to prioritize.
So how was it for you during the lockdown and this past year, especially as you have a big house and then kids and all these responsibilities?
It's tough. I mean, generally the girls, they're very close in age and they're really good friends and they get on really well. So we're quite lucky in that respect. But they are under your feet the whole time. So it's just, I find what's been the toughest thing is just the lack of sort of time that I've had to spend on my own work, because as much as I can do an hour here and an hour there, you just can't really get into it. And you say to yourself, well, I have to work in the evenings, and it's actually the last thing I feel like doing when you sort of had dinner and it's 9 o'clock. You just want to, after a day of looking after the children, sort of just sit down and do nothing really.
There should be some time for rest. That's true.
But generally for us, we are lucky. We live in the countryside. We've got space around us. We've got an exciting building work going on. So it's sort of breaking up the monotony of being at home the whole time. So we've handled it fine really. But very much looking forward to having a few more hours to ourselves next week once the girls go back to school and nursery. Be a big sigh of relief from all parents in the UK on Monday morning, I think. Send off.
Definitely.
It's just changed everyone's outlook on things really, I think. And I mean, I think I'm quite a positive person, and because I think now we live in Somerset, our pace of life's probably, we've got children, it is sort of slowed down anyway. So it wasn't like we were used to going to the pub all the time or going out for meals, or, I guess what we're missing is being able to have people around the house. But we're happy and healthy, so we can't complain.
I like talking to other people about my problems. Have you been doing any work online, like courses or talks or lectures?
No, actually, I haven't. I was asked because I was meant to teach a class in Somerset, sort of, well, in person. I can't remember when it was booked in, maybe June last year, just when the first lockdown had lifted, and they asked me if I wanted to do it online. And I just don't feel that my type of work you could do online. It's so fiddly. It's not really, and I'm not set up for it, and I don't need to. I've got plenty of other stuff on. So my decision was that I'm just going to wait until we can sort of get together and do it in person again. I haven't even really done many Zoom calls. It's generally been just with my family, to be honest. So yeah, for me personally, I prefer seeing people in person, I think.
I guess that's most of the things we wanted to talk about today, and we would definitely like to return to you later, maybe later this year, or sure. I don't know when it happens.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for being with us, and it was an interesting talk and an inspiring project. I hope some of our viewers will see your bindings and get some inspiration to maybe implement an embroidery in their work, because that's definitely gives a different texture and different feeling to bindings. Yeah. So
well, thank you for inviting me.
yeah, it was a great pleasure. As usual, many thanks to our supporters, so to our viewers. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell under the video. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters. Thanks to your pledges, thanks to your money, we can edit these videos, and this helps us a lot. If you are considering helping us with your pledges, you can do this right now. Please use link below in the description of the video. We are closing up in our preliminary research and preparations to start French and Spanish versions of our podcasts. And well, of course, we'll have to spend even more money on editing and then on translating of these videos. So if you are ready to help us, we will appreciate your money quite a lot. So thanks to everyone, and thanks once again, Hannah. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.